This is Ella Star with your Key Races and Bets podcast for July 4th weekend, Friday, July 4th and Saturday, July 5th. This Key Races and Bets podcast is brought to you by Amwager.com, AMWAGER. Amwager.com is a great legal online U.S.-based horse racing wagering website. Amwager.com is legal for residents of most states and covers most tracks in North America as well as many around the world. Check it out, Amwager.com. You can also get the written version of this Key Races and Bets podcast, which is the Key Races and Bets blog, and it's free at Amwager.com. Click on How to Bet in Ella Star's blog. We're going to start with the race on July 4th, a very good one on a great day of racing across the country. This is the Belmont Derby Invitational, Friday, July 4th, race 9, Saratoga, 5:45 Eastern. The top win contender is Luther, and other contenders to win are Test Score and New Century. As is usually the case with top turf races in North America, European imports have to be looked at first because in many cases they're further along at this time of year than locally based horses. They've run against tougher horses as well. Such is the case with Luther, who has run in 2 straight Group 1 stakes in France. Total purses with purses of $730,000 and $1.7 million. Those Group 1 races and horses which ran in them are higher level than most Grade 1 races in North America. And his best race of the 2 came in the second start of the year, at second after 6 months off, when Luther finished 4th of 16 in May on a firm course like he's going to get at Saratoga. He finished the neck back from third. That third-place finisher, Camille Pissarro, returned 3 weeks later to win the $1.7 million Group 1 Prix de Jockey Club with Luther 15th of 18th. Karen Schumacher, who has ridden Luther in 2 of his wins, comes across the pond to ride, and Luther's 120 and 113 Equibase speed figures from his last few races pretty much tower over the rest of the field, with the next best figure belonging to New Century, who also was a European previously, went 4th of 12 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf last fall. As a son of Frankel, there's no doubt Luther will love the 9-furlong trip, and just repeating either of his last 2 efforts in this group should be good enough to win. Test Score ran well when rallying for second in the American Turf on Derby Day behind Zulu Kingdom, who should have won the race 8, the Manila Stakes, as the heavy favorite just before this race, the Belmont Derby. Test Score won the Transylvania Stakes prior to that. It's 100 and 104 figures from those 2 races, make him a contender, particularly if Luther doesn't run well. New Century came over from Europe to win the Grade 1 Summer Stakes last September as a 2-year-old, winning easily in field of 10 with a 104 figure, which he improved upon to 112 6 weeks later when 4th, beaten 2 lengths in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. That race was won by Henry Matisse, who won the race on May 11th this year, in which Luther was 4th and is one of the top turf stars in Europe. New Century ran poorly when 5th in his 2025 debut in April, but that was after 5 months off. He shipped back to North America, rallying from 12th and further back in the American Stakes as compared to Test Score to get 3rd, only a nose behind Test Score at the end. Ocean Murphy, who rode New Century in every one of his 7 races before the American Turf, comes in from England to ride. Perhaps a slight improvement off his last effort, New Century can finish in front of Test Score this time and maybe run well enough to win. In the Belmont Derby Invitational, race 9, Saratoga, 5:45 Eastern, Friday, July 4th, Luther is a win bet, a low odds overlay win bet, late to 5 or more. And I'll consider a win bet on Test Score or New Century at 5 or 2 or more, probably whichever is the highest odds of the 2. For exactas, I'm going to keep it really simple and play Luther over Test Score and New Century. Moving on to Saturday, great races around the country. We're going to go over a few of them, starting with the Sanford Stakes. On July 5th, Saturday, the Sanford Stakes is race 3 at Saratoga, 1:40 Eastern. The win contender is Blinging It Back, and for exactas, Obliteration. Now, considering Obliteration dominated its one and only start to win by 7 with the field high 91 Equibase speed figure, Obliteration should be the heavy favorite in the 6-horse field. But Blinging It Back has finished 3rd and 2nd in 2 races, so maybe disregarded a bit as a maiden in a stakes race, but he's likely to post a mild upset in a race with a first-time starter, Honey Dutch, and another maiden, Imagine John. The reason Blinging It Back opposed the upset is he broke slow when finishing very strongly for 3rd after being 10 lengths back at a 4.5 furlong race in his May 1 debut, way too short to make up that kind of lost ground. Then he entered the Tremont Stakes as a maiden on June 5th and was sent to post as a 6-5 favorite. However, Mythical took control and led all the way, flinging it back, having little chance to pass the lone frontrunner who controlled the pace. Nevertheless, that race at Tremont has already produced a stakes winner because Romeo, who is 8 lengths behind Blinging It Back in third, won the Bashford Manor Stakes last week at Churchill Downs, improving markedly, and I think Blinging It Back can take a similar market improvement here to win the race. In the Sanford Stakes, race 3, Saratoga, 140 Eastern, July 5th, Blinging It Back can be bet at odds of 3-2 or more, and for the exact, I want to play Blinging It Back over Obliteration and Strategic Risk. Next race on today's Key Races and Bets podcast for Saturday, July 5th is the Indiana General Assembly Stakes. This is race 5 at Horseshoe Indianapolis with 2:23 Eastern post time. The top win contenders in preference order are Nicest Pie, Dana's Beauty, and Mohawk Trail. For exactas, Storm Miami, Mucho Macho Girl, and She's Looking Lucky in a very wide open race. It's Indiana Derby Day, and there's a great card including a lot of tough stakes at this Shelbyville, Indiana track, and this race, the Indiana General Assembly Stakes, is particularly interesting with a 10-horse field going a mile 16th with many ways to go. However, opening at 10-1, Nicest Pie is the one we look to first for a profit on wagers made involving this race. Nicest Pie's run 14 times, first to second at 8, including 4 stakes. Most of her races and all her wins have come in all weather, but that's fine as that triangulates the turf just as nicely and she'll be a nice price. She's run on turf 3 times. Only one of those is representative of what she can do in this race. That was the Pennsylvania Oaks. May of last year, Nicest Pie was 10th for the first half mile, missed by a head at 3-1. That race came on the stretch from a sprint, which is just like she's doing today. Nicest Pie returned from 3 months off a 4th place finish when beaten a neck for 3rd in the Queen's Stake, has working very well for a return. Dana's Beauty's won 12 of 46, like Nicest Pie. Had 29 of those have been on weather, but she's run well on grass too. Dana's Beauty won the Latonia Stakes in March around the same time Nicest Pie was 4th in the Queen. Then she shipped to Canada for the Belmont May 31st, but faded to 6th after being a head behind the lead in the early half mile. Now, this isn't the way she likes to be ridden, and she gets a jockey change because she likes to be 3rd or 6th early. Hall of Fame jockey John Velasquez is really the only big-name rider from out of town to be riding many races on Indiana Derby Day card, and picks up the mount, giving Dana's Beauty a solid shot. Mohawk Trail won a stakes race on grass 3 back at the end of March. Jockey Adam Batskitza in the saddle. She was overmatched in the Grade 3 Bogey after the win. Then the Miss Liberty on May 25th, her most recent race. Mohawk Trail was 3rd of 7, but never really rallied. However, Batskitza gets back on, and the mare ran 2nd, the only time she ran on this turf course at Horseshoe Indianapolis back in May of 2023. So she's got a shot. She's Looking Lucky, starts the 3-1 favorite, has a good probability to finish 1st or 2nd, so she must be included on exacta tickets, but she may not be a good bet at low odds, as she has led with an 1/8 of a mile to run in her last 2, but settled for 2nd both times. Storm Miami is eligible to run in the 2nd allowance race after her first level allowance win last month, but trainer Brendan Walsh ships her in, and she could be competitive here. Mucho Macho Girl ships in from California, where she finished 3rd in a highly rated classified allowance race, 1 level below a stakes race, last month, and she won a stakes race in Arizona before that. In the Indiana General Assembly Stakes, race 5 at Horseshoe Indianapolis, which is 2:23 post time on Saturday, July 5th. For win bets, all 3 of the top win contenders, Nicest Pie, Dana's Beauty, and Mohawk Trail, can be considered at 3-1 or more. What I'm going to do is, considering all 3 may be at those odds or higher, I'm going to bet the 2 of the 3 at the highest odds. And in this race particularly, when presented with the opportunity to wager on more than one horse to win, we can gain a really nice mathematical edge by using a Dutching tool to prorate our wagers. There's a free Dutching tool at amwager.com where all you have to do is select the total amount of money you want to bet to win, then select 2 or 3 horses, and all the work is done for you. And that's just one of very many nice perks and tools at Amwager. For the exacta 1 is going to be a box of Nicest Pie, Dana's Beauty, and Mohawk Trail. Exacta 2 is going to be Nicest Pie, Dana's Beauty, and Mohawk Trail over Nicest Pie, Dana's Beauty, Mohawk Trail, She's Looking Lucky, Storm Miami, and Mucho Macho Girl. And we can play the opposite of that as well. Moving on to the big race of the day, the Indiana Derby, race 12 at Horseshoe Indianapolis. 6:33 Eastern on Saturday. the 5th of July. The top win contenders are Tip Top Thomas and Instant Replay. An exacta contender for sure is Chunk of Gold. And a trifecta contenders are Coal Battle and Big Truz. Tip Top Thomas is, in my opinion, the likely reason that Hall of Fame jockey John Velasquez is riding Indiana today and foregoing some really nice races in New York. Tip Top Thomas is a lightly raced 3-year-old who has done a little wrong in 4 races. He won at 6 furlongs in his debut last summer at Saratoga, then led late before finishing second in the Grade 1 Champagne Stakes last October. Something must have set him back as he did not run in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile nor any of the Road Derby races. He returned in April, once again in the sprint, and finished 4th, but then stretched out to a mile for his last race, May 25th, and dominated in hand to win by 3 with the stakes quality 101 Equibase speed figure. I say stakes quality because Instant Replay won the Texas Derby with a 102 figure, just 1 higher. Big Truz earned a 103 figure, just 2 higher, won 3rd in the Grade 1 Wooding Stevens Stakes last month. And Coal Battle earned a 106 stakes, won 3rd in the Matt Win on June 8th. Tip Top Thomas improved markedly in that race. His second start off the layoffs likely to take another step forward. So at 6-1, he gets top billing. Instant Replay tried his hand on the Derby Trail in March, but trainer Brad Cox didn't think the 3rd place finish good enough, so he ended him 4 weeks later in the Bathhouse Row Stakes, not a Derby points race at Oaklawn, in which Instant Replay rallied from 5th to win as a heavy favorite. Shipping to Lone Star Park, Instant Replay defeated 9 of the horses in the Texas Derby in May, earning career best 102 figure. In 2021, Mr. Wireless had finished second in the Texas Derby before winning this race, the Indiana Derby, and Instant Replay can certainly run similarly well as give trainer Brad Cox potentially his 4th winner in this race in the past 5 years, as Cox won it in 2020, 2022, 2023, and last year. Chunk of Gold may not be a great win contender, but he's a high probability contender for the exacta, owing to his hard-trying style, which has led to 1 win and 4 seconds in 6 races. Chunk of Gold finished second in the Risen Star in February, in the Louisiana Derby in March, and in the Ohio Derby a few weeks ago. His only bad race this year came when 9th in the Kentucky Derby, and he beat a lot of horses in that race, and even that wasn't too shabby as he clipped heels early, moved up to 6th, and tired but was trying hard. Coal Battle faded a bit to 3rd in the Matt Win 4 weeks ago after pressing in 2nd, and similarly lost a position when 3rd in the Arkansas Derby after being 2nd with an 1/8 mile to run. He may be just a cut below the top here, but could get a piece. Similarly, Big Truz tries 2 turns for the first time off a 3rd place finish in the 7 furlong Woody Stevens 4 weeks ago. Big Truz continues to improve and is bred for the trip, but it must be noted he is also entered to run in the Iowa Derby today. In the Indiana Derby, race 12 at Horseshoe Indianapolis, 6:33 Eastern, Saturday, July 5th. Tip Top Thomas is the horse to look to first, and I would consider for a win bet at 2-1 or more. I might consider a second win bet at 5-2 or more on Instant Replay. For the exactas, first one is going to be Tip Top Thomas and Instant Replay over Tip Top Thomas, Instant Replay, and Chunk of Gold. The second is going to be Tip Top Thomas and Instant Replay over Tip Top Thomas, Instant Replay, Chunk of Gold. That's the trifecta. I'm sorry. The trifecta is going to be Tip Top Thomas, Instant Replay over Tip Top Thomas, and Instant Replay, and Chunk of Gold over for 3rd. Tip Top Thomas, Instant Replay, Chunk of Gold, Coal Battle, and Big Truz. That's the trifecta, 50-cent try just for fun. But I like the exact a lot more, which is Tip Top Thomas, Instant Replay over Tip Top Thomas, Instant Replay, and Chunk of Gold. Thanks so much for listening. I know I covered a lot on this week's Key Races and Bets podcast. If you want it in writing, go to amwager.com, click on How to Bet, All Stars blog. Get the Key Races and Bets blog for free. And while you're there, if not a member, look around, sign up. amwager.com is legal for residents of most states and covers most tracks in North America, including all the ones covered on this week's Key Races and Bets podcast and blog. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week.